welcome to this week's edition of The Pitch with Fox, Beatoms, and Mitch. I'm your host, John Fox, alongside here with Beatoms and Mitch Sabatelli. Now for top stories, the Giants win their first World Series since 1954. How did they do it?
Well, you know, what a championship team. They didn't buy their team. They developed from within. They started from the beginning of the season with a great rotation, and they had great hitting all year. They made clutch additions at the midway point. You know, they got Aubrey Huff at the start of the season. They added Pat Burrell. They both really helped, and they then got other people's garbage, like we mentioned last year with Cody Ross, Edgar Renteria. But really, you know, I think Edgar Renteria had a great series this series. But really, it was all pitching, and really it was all Brian Wilson. He didn't give up a single run the whole series. I love Lincecum. I love Kane. I love Sanchez, and I love Bumgarner. And this
Kane was a beast.
He was. And the whole pitching was a beast. And, you know, the lineup was really good. It wasn't like, you know, the Yankees last year, I mean, it did work last year, so you can't really doubt it. They did win the World Series last year. But what a good championship team, you know, really come together. Nobody really gave this team a chance. And, you know, they proved everybody wrong, really.
I think the reason they actually won the series was because their hitting did step up.
It did.
And they produced a lot of runs for them.
Yeah.
And, I mean, their pitching's always going to be there. It's always been there. But their hitting was the reason why no one thought they'd do anything in the playoffs. But,
exactly.
I mean,
and they stepped up.
Cody Ross and Edgar Renteria pretty much carried that team.
It was all Cody Ross and
everyone followed them.
In the World Series.
Everyone in the lineup just followed along with them. Just the momentum carried over.
I know. I mean, you look at guys like Andres Torres, just guys from nowhere making names for themselves, and that's when you make names for themselves in the playoffs. And they really stepped up, and this team was just terrific the whole playoffs.
All right, now, do you think Edgar Renteria was deserving of the MVP?
I think he does. I mean, he was phenomenal. I might have given it to Matt Cain just because no one does that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can't argue Edgar Renteria either because he was there every single game and he produced when he needed to.
What I really like about Edgar, I really like what you said. I was going to say something like that, but Edgar Renteria, this guy's not a guy in the middle of the lineup. This guy was batting ninth, and he batted 400 in the series. 417, I think it was. And really, he won their last two games that they won for them. So that's 2 games in the series out of the 4 that he basically won. He won the home run in Game 4, I think it was, and then in Game 5 and Game 3. You know, he was really good the whole series. Edgar Renteria was solid. I really like what you said about Matt Cain, though. Usually they do give the batter the benefit of the doubt when they give him an MVP, but I think Matt Cain should have won too.
I think the reason that Edgar Renteria is really deserving of this was, like we said before, him and Ross pretty much gave the rest of the team the momentum to do well. And they really sparked the lineup.
Yeah.
And that was key to their success.
The World Series... Sorry, what did you just say?
Oh, I just said that was the key to their success.
Yeah. The World Series MVP is really the playoff MVP, if you think about it. I think everyone's ready to give Cody Ross the playoff MVP, but his World Series was kind of a down World Series for him. You know, he was batting over 400 in the NLCS, and really he went down sub 300 really in the World Series. But I mean, other people stepped up. Andres Torres, like we mentioned, Aubrey Huff, Pat Burrell, and even Pablo Sandoval. But Edgar Renteria, he really carried them the last couple of games in that series. I think he could have deserved it along with Matt Cain.
All right, now I'm going to ask you this. Who do you think was the breakout player in the playoffs?
Definitely Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson didn't allow a single earned run the whole entire playoffs. This guy, if you think of a closer, usually you want a wild closer. And this guy's, have you guys ever heard him talk? He sounds like a complete psycho, you know, with this whole beard thing.
Blackbeard?
Yeah, the whole Blackbeard thing. And even after the World Series, they interviewed this guy, and they're like, what do you want to do? He's like, I just want to rage. You know, this guy's a real complete psycho. And actually, people are starting a Facebook fan page wanting him to go and host SNL, and I think he's a really funny guy, and I think he would be perfect for it. But that's what you're looking for a closer. He's a wild closer. He's a funny guy, and he was just dominating, lights out throughout the whole series, the whole playoffs.
I completely agree with you. I mean, I really didn't. I know he's a good closer, but I never expected that.
Yeah, everyone heard of him probably. I think if you are a pretty good baseball fan, you've heard of Brian Wilson.
He's solid, but he's not a top closer.
No, he isn't.
And to do that in the playoffs, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, when you think of top closers, you think of Mo Rivera, maybe Jonathan Papelbon. But, you know, he really made a name for himself this World Series and even throughout the whole playoffs. And I think next season, he's going to be mentioned with the games to lead.
And clearly Edgar Renteria, too. I mean...
Oh, yeah, but they declined his option this year. So
I know. I don't understand that.
I think it's because he wanted to. He's retiring, and I mean, what a way to go off after you win the World Series and the MVP. And he really got his whole career back, you know.
But I mean, if he doesn't retire, then that was kind of pointless. You know?
Yeah, I think, but he is going to retire. But I mean, what a good time to retire. You know, everyone was writing this guy off that he was really a bad signing for the Red Sox, and then the Red Sox had to pay him the next 5 years while he was with the Giants or whatever. And he really came back, and now when people think of Edgar Renteria, they're going to think of MVP. So.
Yeah, and you know, I was thinking the whole year that if the Yankees were going to win this, then you would see a lot of the older Yankee players retire, like Jorge Posada and maybe even Rivera.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this is the best way to go out.
Yeah.
You know, retire while you're at the top.
They could have retired last year then, if you think about it. But
yeah, but I think they wanted to come back one more year because they thought they would win.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, next season the Yankees win it, I think both of them are retiring. And, I mean, that's the way to go out.
They're getting up there in age, yeah.
That's the way to go out, in my opinion. I mean,
and you look at Jesus Montero coming up with the Yankees. I don't think they're going to try to trade him. I think he's the catcher of the future for the Yankees.
Definitely.
Now, Brian, do you think either the Giants or the Rangers have a chance to get back?
I think if Cliff Lee stays with the Rangers, they have a shot, but I really don't think he will.
Yeah.
And, I mean, who knows with the Giants? I mean,
yeah.
Their pitching is dominating, and if their hitting can, you know, stay like they were in the playoffs, then they're going to be in it again next year.
Yeah, I agree.
I also think the West is going to get a lot weaker with all the free agents leaving.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they can keep their team together, they're going to be in there.
Yeah, I mean, pitching and clutch hitting win championships like you saw this year. But, yeah, I think Cliff Lee is definitely going up this year. And unlike the Giants, the Rangers don't really have a really good starting rotation. Their hitting is phenomenal. I really like that lineup. But, you know, without Cliff Lee, I don't think this team has much of a chance next year. I mean, they can make the playoffs. They can win the division. I don't think they're a championship contender. But they're trying to bring back Cliff Lee. But realistically, he's going to go for the money. This is going to be his big free agent signing. But I like the Giants next year. They play in a weak division. If they can get that rotation together, I think they're all intact next year. If they can, maybe they're going to lose some players on offense, but I mean they got good additions this year, so maybe they can do the same thing next year.
And a lot of people are talking about the Angels making some really big moves.
Yeah, they got the money. They're a big market.
And I think they might take over the Rangers.
Yeah, a lot of people picked them to win that division again this year, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, so I mean, if they improve, then how can they not be the team to beat?
Yeah, true.
You know?
All right, now moving on to our only other top story. It's a big one. Randy Moss is waived from the Vikings and picked up by the Titans. Now, do you think this was the right move for the Vikings?
Throw out 34 jerseys. Yeah. Yeah. This was a really surprising move. You know, Randy Moss really wasn't that terrible. He was taking plays off here and there. You saw with the Merriweather play that he got charged for the pass interference, that maybe he could have caught that ball. Yeah, he was taking plays off, but he was really opening the field for Percy Harvin. I think you saw Percy Harvin have a couple good games while he was out there. And like people say, you know, Randy Moss, just because his stats are maybe going down, it's like he demands two people on him all the time. You look at a Wes Welker and Larry Fitzgerald, who have had down years this year, but really, it's because they have two guys are on them the whole game. So that's really a really good player if you demand two guys on you the whole game. And Randy Moss was really doing that, but this whole organization just has a huge problem, you know. And I mean, he was actually taking a lot of problems onto that team. So maybe it was a wise move. You know, they're already out of it. Why deal with that adversity throughout the season?
I'm just surprised they didn't try to trade him instead of just letting him go right away. I mean,
yeah, I don't think they were going to pick anybody up. I mean,
you could try to get a draft pick back or something, you know.
But the team that claimed him, the Titans, they were the only team in the whole league that claimed him. So
yeah.
It would have been tough to find a trade. I think they did the right move by just waiving him if they were going to let him go. Maybe keep him another week or so, see how he worked out. But I mean, I think this was a solid move.
I think it's a lot better for the Titans than it was for the Vikings because, I mean, the Titans need something in their passing game.
Yeah.
And I think Randy Moss will complement Vince Young pretty well.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good move for the Titans. I don't know. The Vikings, maybe. I don't really think it affects them that much. They're still not that great this year.
Well, that's our next question, right?
So.
Yeah, does Randy Moss help the Titans?
Well, yeah, I think this like you were saying right then, This situation is similar to the Vikings. You look at a really good running back in the backfield in Chris Johnson instead of Adrian Peterson. You look at a quarterback who makes risky plays, who really kind of sucks now, and he makes risky plays. He has a good arm, throw him down the field, and really taking over for a wide receiver who's hurt. You know, Sidney Rice was hurt this whole season, and Kenny Britt, he's out for a solid 6 to 8 weeks or whatever. So they're really taking over for him, bringing Randy Moss. I mean, that's a perfect fit. And really, I mean, if you look at one thing that separates the two teams, it's coaching. I mean, I saw on the radio this week, a caller made a really interesting point. You know, Brad Childress isn't the worst coach in the world, but if Wade Phillips suddenly fell off a bridge or fell off a cliff and died, he would be, you know what I'm saying? So, Jeff Fisher is a terrific coach. He's the longest tenured coach in the NFL. I think if anyone could bring him back, like a Bill Belichick did after Oakland, I think Jeff Fisher can. And I think you might see Randy Moss have some success over there. I like that team. That team's already, 5-2? I like that team.
You know, you just made me think of something, too, which kind of changed my opinion completely on the Vikings. I completely forgot Sidney Rice is going to be coming back soon. Yeah. So they don't need Randy Moss, so it affects them.
They're kind of out almost already.
They're out of it, but, I mean, with Sidney Rice coming back, it's not going to... It's probably an advantage over Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Now he can get more experience for next year. And then they have Percy Harvin and Sidney Rice with Adrian Peterson. That's going to be a good team for the future.
And Tavares Jackson. You look at it. You look at the Titans. This is almost a playoff move too. You know, Vince Young was developing some chemistry with Kenny Britt, and now that's a bad blow for them losing Kenny Britt. Now Vince Young can still use his arm with Randy Moss and kind of use that as kind of like a Kenny Britt until Kenny Britt comes back. And then if they do make the playoffs, which I think they will, have Kenny Britt on one side, Randy Moss on the other. Then Chris Johnson and Nate Washington and Justin Gage. I really like that team. And that's a terrific defense. I mean, that's a really good team. They could even be title contender, really.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the defense could improve a little bit, but
that defense is solid, though.
It's solid, but if that defense improves a little bit more, they're definitely going to be in the playoffs.
I like that old line too. You know, Vince Young and Kerry Collins. And Kerry Collins is another person. You know, Vince Young was hurt last couple of weeks. Kerry Collins developed some chemistry in Oakland when Randy Moss was there. He has a deep arm. He has a good arm too. I mean, Randy Moss knows Kerry Collins. Kerry Collins would be solid for that team too. But that old line with Michael Roos and David Stewart, I really like that team.
All right, now, Brian, do you think that this year, with everything that's happened around and to Randy Moss, do you think that hurts his legacy?
Not really. I mean, he's always been kind of known as one of those players that causes trouble, and I mean, it's just going back to the old Randy Moss again. And I mean, it didn't hurt Cliff Lee's career to go from one team to another to another to another. So why should it affect Randy Moss's?
Yeah, but I think what he's saying is that his whole career, he really rebuilt his legacy coming to the Patriots, and everyone thought he was a really good receiver. Instead of just leaving, you know, he got traded from the Patriots to the Vikings, then getting cut by the Vikings. That's got to hurt his legacy a little bit, you know, after that rebuilding that career. But really, no. I mean, this guy's career was done in Oakland, and it really revived the whole career with Patriots. Bill Belichick did a great job with him. Like I said, bringing him back, you know, keeping him to the books, and really making sure he did good. I think Jeff Fisher can do that. And I think you might see Randy Moss do good in the Titans.
But, I mean, his whole career has pretty much been, you know, be a great team player, you know, great teammate or whatever, and then all of a sudden things don't go his way and he becomes a bad teammate, goes to the next team, restarts over again, goes to the next team, and it's just a cycle.
Yeah, I mean, his legacy is he's obviously one of the best receivers in the game, arguably second after Jerry Rice. But I mean, this year might have hurt his legacy a little bit.
Short term, yes. Long term, I
everyone knows he's a great wide receiver.
All right, so that covers what we have for now, but stay tuned. We have more later, so we're just going to take a little short break right now.
What's up next?
NFL is up next, so we'll see you then.
All right, cool.
Peace.